as you guys know, I am a big fan of the Luigi's Mansion series. Luigi's Mansion is a series that has meant so much to me over the years and has really defined my childhood. It's the game that got me into the horror genre. It's the game that really got me into Nintendo, as passionately as I am today. So, of course, lots of speculation with the new Nintendo Switch, which I know a lot of stuff has been popping out about recently, but I'm not going to talk about any of that. A lot of thoughts been rumbling about, well, when's the next Luigi's Mansion entry gonna happen? And I think it could actually happen sooner rather than later. Now, if you saw my Nintendo 2025 predictions video, I actually predicted that we could be seeing Luigi's Mansion 4 as early as this year. Now, a lot of people have some issue with that, not quite understanding why I think that way, and there are a few reasons why I do think that way. And that's what I'm going to be diving into today. So, if you enjoyed today's video, definitely make sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe. All of that stuff down below, and of course comment what you want to see out of the next Luigi's Mansion game. There's a lot of stuff that I want to see that I might talk briefly about at the end of the video for people who may not know. So, without any further ado, let's get into it. Firstly, to get a greater understanding about the conversation we're going to have today, I'm going to be talking about a lot of dates, so buckle in and get ready. The first set of dates I'm going to tell you guys is the release dates for all three Luigi's Mansion games we've had up to this point. Now, looking over here, Luigi's Mansion 1 released all the way back in 2001, in both September and November in Japan and North America, but then it did get released in 2002 in the European territories. Then, of course, Nintendo didn't really do much with Luigi's Mansion for quite a hot minute until Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, or Luigi's Mansion 2, came out in 2013, I believe globally. I believe it came out in March of 2013 all over the world. I could be wrong on that, though. And then it would take another 6 years for them to develop Luigi's Mansion 3, releasing in October, on Halloween in fact, of 2019. So, a 6-year wait between those two games. Now, using that information, I do want to say that because of the fact that it was a 6-year gap between Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon and Luigi's Mansion 3, that means we are actually at the same length of time between Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon to Luigi's Mansion 3 as we are from Luigi's Mansion 3 to now. It's been 6 years this year since Luigi's Mansion 3 has released, so I think that does give some credence to a new Luigi's Mansion game coming out. Now, of course, games nowadays take longer to develop. Games are more powerful. It's not a completely handheld console like Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon was, so I do feel like development for Luigi's Mansion 4 might be a little bit longer, or could be a little bit longer than Luigi's Mansion 3 was, especially if the Nintendo Switch 2 is a very powerful console, at least, a lot more powerful than the base Switch that we have now. But I do feel like, given that next level games were actually acquired by Nintendo a few years ago, it isn't completely outside of the realm of possibility with the added manpower and the added money that development might actually be a little bit quicker than we have seen previously with the originally independent small team at Next Level Games. I also want to give a little nod to the remakes and re-releases of the Luigi's Mansion games, as I don't think this is a completely nail in the coffin point as to this is definitely happening this year, but I do want to recognize a pattern of something that happened before. Luigi's Mansion 1 actually did get remade for the Nintendo 3DS in 2018. It came out around about in October time of 2018. But not long before that remake got released, a new Luigi's Mansion game got announced, being Luigi's Mansion 3. And then about a year later, Luigi's Mansion 3 ended up being released. And as of last year, specifically late June of last year, Luigi's Mansion 2, otherwise known as Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, got an HD re-release on the Nintendo Switch, being Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. This one is one that basically everyone knows because it just came out a few months ago. So, it's not out of the realm of possibility to say, well, maybe they're trying to get Luigi's Mansion fans ready for a new installment. Again, I don't want to make this point a big one in this video, given that this definitely doesn't mean that a new game is on the way, but I definitely did want to draw the parallels between the remake of the first game and the third game coming out, and then the remaster of Luigi's Mansion 2 to potentially maybe a new game next year. Then, of course, we gotta dive into Next Level Games a little bit, because, like I said, Luigi's Mansion, after the first game got released, actually entered quite a bit of a stalling period, where no new games, no new entries for the Luigi's Mansion series came out. Well, it wasn't even a series at that point, it was just one game. So, Next Level Games eventually got not the rights to Luigi's Mansion, but they were allowed to make a new Luigi's Mansion game, which, as we all know, ended up being Luigi's Mansion 2. So, from that point on, Next Level Games took over the Luigi's Mansion series. But they were not exclusively making Luigi's Mansion games. They're responsible for the Mario Strikers games, for the Wii Punch-Out game, etc. So, Luigi's Mansion isn't their only game. But what we do know is that their development cycle usually is about 3 years per game. And that actually started with Luigi's Mansion 2, the original. Now, from Luigi's Mansion 2, which released in 2013, we then got in 2016 Metroid Prime Federation Force, which, you know, say what you will about that game, but it came out 3 years later. Then, 3 years after that, we got the new game Luigi's Mansion 3. Everyone knows that. And then, 3 years after that, in 2022, we got Mario Strikers Battle League, which, again, say what you want about that game, but it came out 3 years ago now. So, like I said, 3 years ago we got that. It's been 3 years, and that's usually Next Level Games' cycle. Now, I usually don't overly like to rely on cycles, but this one has been their cycle for the past 12 years. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty certain that that Punch-Out on the Wii came out in like 2009 or 10, so it could even be longer than Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon's, you know, release. So, I think that Next Level Games have a pretty standard track record of every 3 years releasing a new game. So I do think that that does add some credence to Luigi's Mansion 4 happening this year. The only kind of caveat is, would they want to release this game so early in the new Switch's lifespan? You know, would this be a near launch title? And that's a question that I don't think anyone would ever have a solid answer to. No one knows how Next Level Games is thinking. It all depends on how prepared they are. Now, naturally, you may think that this game has been in development for about 3 years, given that Mario Strikers Battle League came out in 2022. But we can imagine that, I'm assuming there were some conceptual stages of Luigi's Mansion 4 being developed before Mario Strikers Battle League came out. I mean, you know, like Nintendo bought Next Level Games, I think in like 2020, 2021 maybe, so Nintendo have owned Next Level Games by even before the time Mario Strikers Battle League came out. So it's safe to say their conceptual team, the team that does all of the, you know, before all the programming starts work, might already be cooking something up even while Mario Strikers Battle League was still in development. Heck, I think I even saw that Luigi's Mansion 3 started development in like 2015, I want to say, which is before Metroid Prime Federation Force came out. So I think it's completely possible for Next Level Games to release Luigi's Mansion 4 this year. Now, what's going to hold them back from releasing it this year? Firstly, Nintendo are known to hold things back until they think they're ready to be released. You know, Nintendo have held certain games for a while until they're like, you know what, here's where we're going to strategically put this game. So Nintendo could be like, Next Level Games, hold that until 2026 and we'll release it then. So that is also completely possible. Luigi's Mansion 4 could be finished this year, but Nintendo might be like, not yet. But we have to wait and see. And for those of you Luigi's Mansion fans, you know, who may be new to the channel, maybe don't know my stance on Luigi's Mansion, which I'm sure a lot of people know my stance on Luigi's Mansion, but I'm really hoping that Next Level Games do spend their time on this one. I wouldn't even care if it didn't release this year. As much as I would love a new Luigi's Mansion game this year, I really want them to put a lot of attention into this game. I want there to be things like more common ghosts for you to fight, more involved, you know, human ghosts that feel a little more real. I want them to focus more on the actual design of the mansion and the gameplay, and, you know, I want them to focus a lot more on it, because Luigi's Mansion 3, I know a lot of people love it. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I think it did a lot of good things, a lot of steps in the right direction for the series, at least in the direction that I think the series should go, and of course it's all my personal opinion. But I'm really hoping that if the game doesn't come out this year, that Next Level Games uses that time to really focus on not only the polish of the game. I mean, Luigi's Mansion 3 was pretty polished outside of the gate, but I want them to focus on making this the best, most definitive Luigi's Mansion game. Bring in all of the fans, give it something that everyone wants and that everyone can see legitimate value in, you know, from a Luigi's Mansion fan standpoint. And I know Next Level Games can do it. I mean, they've had a couple stinkers, like Metroid Prime Federation Force and Mario Strikers Battle League, but Luigi's Mansion seems to be their bread and butter, and I'm just hoping they could really make it work here. So, we'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. I would truly appreciate to hear what you all have to say. So, I would like to thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe. All that stuff down below. Click that notification bell so you can be notified of when I upload videos. And until next time, you guys, I will see you all in the next video.